Earlier today, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas appeared before the Senate Homeland Security Committee seeking additional $4.7 billion from taxpayers for his department's budget next year. Not quite sure what he has done with what he has since the border is wide open. Now, this comes, just a day after Senate Democrats hastily dismissed articles of impeachment against Mayorkas, refusing to even entertain the evidence. And this comes despite credible charges against the secretary for failing to enforce immigration laws, lying to Congress, and obstructing oversight into his department. Now, given the disaster at the southern border that has allowed more than 7 million illegal immigrants into the country under the Biden administration, what can we draw from the Democrats' abandonment of a proper Senate trial? A precedent has been set. Joining me now by phone to discuss this and more, Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas. He serves on 4 committees, including the Homeland Security Committee and the Government Affairs Committee. Senator, welcome back to the program.
Yeah, Tony, it's great to be back with you, and I think you're just describing the situation perfectly. Yesterday, we saw Democrat senators light the Constitution on fire. The Constitution clearly states that when articles of impeachment are received by the Senate,
I think we may have lost you, Senator. We're going to try to reconnect with him. He's just stepped off the Senate floor. The Senate working on a number of issues, actually related to FISA. So the concern here is that this sets a precedent. First time ever that the Senate didn't even entertain the evidence of the charges brought over the articles. I think we have him back now. Senator Marshall, you back?
Tony, I am. I hope you can hear me this time.
Yeah, let's try it again. So pick up where you left off.
Yeah. So yesterday afternoon, we saw the Senate Democrats light the Constitution on fire. That the Constitution clearly states that the Senate receives articles of impeachment, there shall be a trial. There was no trial. And to your point, this sets a precedent for history. The history would then say that going forward, if you want to, you can just basically table any impeachment you want to. So if you're in the same party as the sitting president, impeachment orders come over, you can ignore them. And the concern is this concept of checks and balances. Think about high school government classes when they said one of the powers that Congress held over the executive branch is this power of impeachment.
Right.
So that's been changed forever.
I'm going to get you to respond to a clip from the Senate scare leader Chuck Schumer earlier today, commenting on yesterday's procedure. Clip 1.
I am very glad the Senate worked its will to set these charges aside. The prudence and cool judgment the Senate showed yesterday is what the framers would have wanted.
Your response, Senator Marshall.
Spin master, I can tell you that. Look, what was Bill Clinton's impeachment about? It was lying to Congress. So Chuck Schumer is saying that I think everyone understands that Secretary Mayorkas has lied to Congress. So he's saying, well, we've decided that wasn't serious enough, so we're not going to have a trial. And I just think that everyone realizes that if you voted with Chuck Schumer yesterday, if you voted to table this impeachment trial, that's a vote to keep our border open. But this issue is so toxic to Democrats, they're going to do everything they can to make sure that this isn't the story. And they've accomplished that. Minimal coverage of this story today. They moved on to FISA, and of course, the left-leaning media, all they're talking about is jury selection. So he's wrong, but he can lie right through his teeth.
Well, speaking of that, today he was back before the Senate Homeland Security Committee. He made you began to ask some questions, and he made a rather startling admission regarding his department's got-away technology.
Yeah, it is that simple. I asked him several questions that you would have thought a DHS secretary would know, like how many gotaways have there been? How many people have been paroled? How many people in America have died from fentanyl poisoning? And really, he didn't know the answers to anything. But this gotaway technology is, I think, is not foolproof. they would have you to believe that they're counting every person that's getting across the border. They may not be able to get thumbprints on all of them, but they would lead you to believe that they're keeping track of them. And my theory is that a lot of times this technology is not working. They've way underestimated the 2 million known gotaways that they're willing to admit to. I'm just really concerned, instead of 11 million people that have come into this country illegally, maybe it's 14, maybe it's 15 million. We have no idea. But what the big concern is, he has no idea and doesn't care. He doesn't want to know.
Shocking. Senator Roger Marshall, always great to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.